KPRC 2 News begins right now with breaking news.
Right now at midday, breaking news out of West Houston. That is where a CenterPoint substation is on fire. This is over at Brittmore and Kempwood.
KPRC 2's Bill Barajas joining us live from the scene. And Bill, we understand that a shelter in place has been issued for that area.
That's right. The City of Houston Office of Emergency Management has issued that shelter in place. We are trying to figure out the radius of that shelter in place. We are told it was put in place because there are possibly some dangerous chemicals. Again, we are working to get that information as far as what kind of chemicals and what kind of damage they could do if released into the air for folks around this area. I want to give you just a quick look here at the scene. You can see the CenterPoint Energy substation still heavily involved there. The plume of smoke and the flames are visible from I-10 and the Beltway as we approach the scene. We've been here maybe 15 to 20 minutes. The response from firefighters big as well here. You can see multiple units with the City of Houston response teams, including the hazardous materials response team. This just on the street here on Kempmore, the 10,800 block of Kempmore. There are more units inside the CenterPoint complex. Again, here's what we know right now. We just got here moments ago. CenterPoint substation, the City of Houston's Office of Emergency Management, as you mentioned, has issued a shelter in place due to chemicals from the fire, but they did not have details on what those chemicals might be and the effects on the folks in this area, if any. We are working to gather those details. Again, just got out to the scene. We've seen CenterPoint Energy employees walking around this area. You'd asked me about traffic earlier. You can see here we are on the 10,800 block of Kempwood. The southbound lanes here have been closed. Northbound is open. We saw vehicles allowed to pass by here. They are now being redirected, as you can see. And other roads just in this nearby area, obviously, being closed off as the response here gets bigger to this fire. Again, just got out here moments ago, about 10, 15 minutes ago, rather, but we are still gathering details, trying to get information. But this is what we're told is a CenterPoint substation. A witness here on scene tells me it's possibly a distribution center. We are working to figure out what might be burning right now. As soon as we do, we will pass that information along to you, the viewers.
All right,
back to you.
Bill Barajas on that breaker. Thank you so much. We'll check back.
All right, turning our attention now to the weather. Still very wet out there. Hopefully some of that rain may be helping out as firefighters' effort out there.
That's right. Let's check in with Justin for the latest.
Yeah, hopefully they can at this point. You know, the crazy thing is, if this was a few hours ago, they probably would have been able to use it a lot because we were really pouring. Now it's backed off considerably. It's still gray and overcast out there on our UT Physicians camera into downtown. Temperature-wise, it's not the story today. Tomorrow we'll start to see those 90s popping back up. It'll feel a little more typical, but it's just been a wet day nonetheless everywhere, including down in Galveston. Still some folks out on the beach enjoying themselves, but I'd expect the beach weekend forecast to be much better as we get into Saturday and Sunday. South-southeast wind, dew point in the upper 70s, and we've got about 84 degrees out there right now under the mostly cloudy skies. So a couple of different things to talk about. We've got some light rain across much of the metro area. Notice as you get over towards Victoria, we still have some heavier rain. We'll get into that in a sec. First, jump into the loop here. A lot of folks that are headed out for afternoon lunches, or if you've got afternoon plans, meetings or whatnot, there is still some pockets of moderate rainfall, so it will be out there. Just keep in mind that that is the case. In addition, we're going to be watching this batch of heavier rain, including some thunderstorms embedded within that line. They're all pushing their way up closer in towards Matagorda Bay. We've also got this box that you see here. That is a flash flood warning. That goes until 12:15, so about the next 45 minutes. And of course, all the flash flood warning that we saw inland from Matagorda Bay earlier today and yesterday, that has all been sort of pushed as a flood advisory at this point. So certainly getting a bit of a break there where spots have seen close to 10 to 12 inches. That's nice to see. But jump a little tighter in towards the south coast here, and I expect to see some of these thunderstorms get a little stronger as they push their way inland, and obviously areas that have been fairly soaked will get an additional probably at least half an inch or so from these as they push their way in. And this is all part of this area of low pressure sitting south of San Antonio. This is the one, the pesky one that's been there for the entire week, and we've just not seen much movement in that, and that continues to push all of this moisture in our direction. As that's why I mentioned we're going to watch this little fetch right here as it gets a little closer to the area. area. That could be one that'll cause a little bit of trouble as we get in towards this afternoon. So let's run through that afternoon as we get to about 5 o'clock tonight. We should see things start to wind down as well. If you are headed on downtown for the Astros game, I'll have that forecast coming up here in just a bit. And then notice as we get in towards your Saturday morning and into the afternoon, much more typical forecast. A little bit of sunshine, some afternoon downpours, and we'll also see a chance to get those 90s back on the board as well. Lisa, remember what that feels like? You will by this weekend because it's on the way.
Okay, Justin. Thank you. Remember, you can track the forecast anytime you want by downloading Frank's free weather app. Just search KPRC in your app store. Now back to that breaking news out of West Houston. A Centerpoint substation is on fire.
Yeah, we are joined now over the phone by HFD Chief Samuel Pena. Chief, thank you so much for joining us. Kind of walk us through what it is that firefighters are dealing with out there right now.
Hi, Jonathan. So yeah, we have fire crews out at the scene at Kentwood and Brittmore, and we have this is involving a substation, an electrical substation. So
Chief Pena, can you hear us? We may have lost him. All right, we're hoping to gather more information on what exactly is burning at this Centerpoint substation, believed to be the attic substation in Spring Branch. We have our Bill Barajas out there trying to get a feel for what's going on. Shelter in place has been ordered, but Jonathan, we still don't know what's burning exactly.
Yeah, and then that's a concern right now. We know firefighters are out there. We know hazmat crews are out there. We also know that Houston Police is also responding out there. Again, as we were hearing from Bill, navigating there wasn't too terribly difficult right now, so it doesn't appear as if a lot of roads have been closed in the area. However, there is that shelter in place. As Bill had mentioned, they're still trying to figure out what the perimeter is as far as that shelter in place is concerning here. But at this hour, you can see it right there. That fire is fully involved. It is still going. I believe we do have Chief back on the line. Chief, do we have you there?
yes, sir. Hi, Jonathan. Sorry, we got dropped off. As I was saying, this is an electrical substation that is involved. We do have fire crews out there as well as our hazmat crews. What we suspect is burning is the mineral oil that's used in the transformers to keep them cool. And at this moment, the fire is confined to the facility. We don't have a concern with exposures, with it spreading outside of the compound. We're actively containing the fire at this moment, and the process is going to take about 10 to 15 minutes to get some foam out there. We're going to need to apply foam to this fire to ensure that it's extinguished. If we start pouring water in there, the runoff is going to cause more issues than it's going to help. So, because of the fact that the fire is there's no danger of it spreading outside, we're gonna go ahead and apply foam. We also have our hazmat crews are out there doing monitoring on the atmosphere, and we do have a call into the health department and TCEQ for additional air monitoring to ensure that the levels are safe, and that's what we know at this time.
And Chief, we know this is burning just west of the Beltway. In regard to that shelter in place, who all's affected? What's the perimeter there?
I barely caught the question. I understand about the shelter in place. No, at this moment we don't have a shelter in place order that's been issued. So what we do know is that again, the fire is confined to that facility, and we're in the process of completing our air monitoring to make a determination whether we need to expand any perimeters or issue a shelter in place order.
Okay, so just to be clear, there is no shelter in place, nor was there one issued at this
No,
scene.
ma'am.
Okay.
No, at this moment, we have not issued a shelter in place order. I am in communication with the hazmat crews out there. They have not made that recommendation at this point. But we are actively monitoring the atmosphere, and again, we're bringing in additional resources from the health department and TCEQ to assist with the air monitoring.
And Chief, you mentioned it just a short time ago. Kind of walk us through that process. Obviously, when you're battling a chemical fire, it's not just your typical fire. As you mentioned, you've got to bring in foam versus water, and obviously this is a controlled element for you all versus just going in there and trying to tap it out as quickly as you can. This is going to be a methodical process for you all.
Absolutely. So it's going to take some time to get the foam operation in place so we can apply foam in the proper amount and in the proper method to ensure extinguishment. Again, you know, water, especially with it involving mineral oil, Water is not going to help, and we run the risk of spreading the fire and causing more harm to the issue and the environment than it's going to help. The fact that the fire is confined to that facility, the fact that there is no danger of exposures being damaged, we're taking this approach to confine it at this moment until we get the foam in place to effect final extinguishment.
And we know you're advising folks to just stay out of that area if at all possible.
Yeah, that's correct. Look, we have crews operating out there. We want to ensure that people stay out of that area. Again, if there's any developments where we need to issue a shelter in place, then we will communicate that appropriately through the proper channels. But at this moment, we have crews actively working. We have a plan to ensure that the full extinguishment of that incident. And look, our focus is going to be life safety, the stabilization of the incident, and the property conservation.
All right, Chief Samuel Pena with HFD. Chief, thank you so much for taking the time this morning. We'll check back in with you a little bit later on.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Some other stories we are following this morning. We are learning more about the deadly shooting at the Aquarium restaurant downtown.
Yeah, police say a man walked up to a couple finishing dinner at a bar and then opened fire. A man was killed. A woman also shot. However, she's listed in stable condition. Told the shooter then died by suicide. The gunman was drinking by himself several hours before the shooting. That, according to investigators. Sources tell KPRC2 the shooting appears to be random.
2 people and a toddler are dead after a fiery wrong-way crash on the West Park Tollway. Investigators say a man was driving the wrong way with his 2-year-old nephew on the tollway in FM 1464 around 1:15 this morning. He then crashed head-on into a white SUV. There are wrong-way sensors on the Harris County portion of the West Park Tollway, but there are no sensors on the stretch in Fort Bend County.
We continue to track the rain showers across the Houston area. Justin is up next with just how long this weather pattern is expected to stick around for.
And we continue to follow that breaking story out of West Houston. A live look once again here at Centerpoint Substation that's on fire. We heard from Chief Pena saying mineral oil in those transformers. It's what's burning. We'll have an update coming up after the break.